I mean, you all made it. Good on you. Not everyone does, in all honesty. So, congrats.
Sorry.
That's all right.
But this tree here, guys, she is a 1,200-year-old Totara tree. Now, Totara wood was an incredibly valuable resource back in the day. It's an incredibly hard wood, an incredibly durable wood. So it was used by nearly everyone that came to New Zealand. The Maoris used it to build their waka, or their canoes. Now you can imagine they didn't have axes or chainsaws or any of that, so they would come up to this tree, come up to its 3-meter diameter with just a sharp rock in their hand. They would start hitting this tree and they would cut it down over about a year. So it would take them a year to cut the tree down, and then to actually carve the boat out of the tree took another 3 years. So it was an incredibly arduous process, lots of struggle, lots of effort. And for that reason, the Maori considered the Totara tree to be an incredibly spiritual tree. They considered it to be a chiefly tree, a keeper of great secrets, very powerful tree, and also the grandmother of the forest that it resides in. So here, you'll notice that she's got these massive roots that stretch off for about 30 meters in every direction. So she is holding this forest together, basically. If she wasn't here, all these little trees, they don't have deep enough roots to hold them in place when we have our really heavy rains. So she is holding this landscape together. Without her, Kumatoso Bay basically wouldn't be here. So she is the grandmother of this forest, presiding over it all. Now, not only has she got these massive roots, but she's also got these very tiny roots. So a few of you guys said the ground feels a bit spongy around here. So that is her tiny roots that are trapping air bubbles in the dirt, and they leave it quite a spongy sensation underfoot. But it's actually pretty incredible because those tiny roots serve as her nervous system, basically. So believe it or not, she is well aware of our presence here. She knows there is someone sitting around her right now, probably talking about her. And
all of those vines are going to come round and recognize you.
for become one with the tree.
He's very Lord of the Rings.
So these are the ones that you're trying to restore back?
Yes, we are. Yeah, so we're trying to bring these guys back. As I say, they were completely stripped from this land. Totara wood basically built modern day New Zealand for the railways, buildings, things like that, settlements. Totara wood was always used because that wood was such an incredible resource. So now we are trying to replant them, but we don't have any of these old ones left. We're not really sure how she's still here because we're only about a 20-minute boat journey from Picton. We're not that far away at all. So there's no way that the Maori didn't know about her. You know, they were just down the way with that matai tree, putting the wedges in the stones.
It was a special treat
for
them. And
exactly. So I like to think that they saw a great power in her and decided to leave her standing. Obviously, she's been here before people even knew New Zealand was a place, was a country, knew New Zealand existed. So you can imagine the things that she's seen, the things that she's endured, the wisdom that she keeps is really something special. And for that reason, people do, I'm not sure if you guys consider yourselves to be spiritual people, but around here, people treat this tree with a lot of respect, and people will make a pilgrimage. They come out here from Picton, they're usually alone, and they come up and they sit by this tree for a while, be in her energy, talk about their greatest hopes for the future, their greatest fears, and ask for wisdom from this very, very special tree. Now it is a native tree, which gives it an incredibly protected status. So we have to be very careful how many people we bring here. I have to send a message back to the office about how many people made it up to the tree, send that to the government basically, because they want to know, because this tree is so special. It also means it has a very high protected status, so you can't even think about this tree in the wrong way without getting in trouble around here. In New Zealand, if you are caught cutting down native bush, that's either a $250,000 fine or upwards of 7 years in prison. So it's an incredibly well-protected tree. The kind of double-edged sword, though, when it comes to that legislation, is these vines you can see, this southern parasitic rata. This is also a native bush, which means we can't cut the vines either. So she will eventually succumb to these vines. They will smother her. These vines, you can tell they're pretty beefy things. They're pretty wild looking.
They're almost trees on their own.
Yeah, pretty much. They're pretty incredible. So these vines are probably about 100 years old,
But you would think that if this is going to damage this special tree, they
Yeah.
get a special
it would
sort
get
of
us. It would get like
dispensation to
it would.
to
They'd make
protect
an
it.
exception.
Yeah,
Yeah,
make an
it's-
exception.
It's
Otherwise,
really
you're going to lose something
yeah.
really special.
Yeah. It's it's a tough one because that's kind of the circle of life, though,
Yeah.
right? Like
But
this
it's like
tree.
culling of animals. You know,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
do
yeah.
it
It's
to,
you
to,
want
to protect something else.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I when I first came here and spent some time out in these woods, I always imagined coming out with an axe or a chainsaw one evening
And that you'd
and
be in
just doing
jail.
it. Yeah, but no one would know. But then I kind of like realized that it's part of the cycle, right?
Yeah.
She has served this land for so long,
Mm.
and then when she eventually does topple, when she does die, the amount of growth that will come from her as she decomposes, she'll be responsible for the whole next generation of this forest as well. So even when she's gone, she'll still be looking after
Yeah.
this very special
It's
species.
part of